In September 2021, the JCVI, that's the Joint Committee on Vaccine and Immunisation, was asked to consider the question of whether COVID vaccines should be rolled out to those children who are aged 12 or over. They came to a conclusion after some careful deliberation that there was actually no reason to vaccinate people who are the age of 12 plus because, well, the risk of getting COVID was so small, or the dangers of getting COVID was so small anyway, and the dangers from the vaccine were probably larger than the risks of the illness itself. They came to the conclusion that they could not recommend the vaccine to 12 plus year old kids. The government, though, was very keen to roll out the vaccine to that group of children, so they overruled them, and they went and spoke to the medical health officers who said, yes, there's no reason why they shouldn't. And as a consequence of that, because they were overruled, the rollout began for 12 plus year old kids. Come forward now to February 22, and the JCVI was asked again if they could consider whether the vaccine should be rolled out to 5-year-old kids and over. They considered that also very carefully, and some would say astonishingly, some would say bizarrely, came to the conclusion this time that yes, 5-year-old children should be offered the vaccine. Now what I do, I find that rather an astonishing volte-face. It's one of those things which raises eyebrows. It's a curiosity which doesn't seem to make sense on the surface of it. Unless, that is, you think for one moment that maybe the JCVI knew which way the wind was blowing, and that if they'd ruled against it, well, they would be overruled anyway. They were out of step with government thinking, out of step with other organisations, and just presenting the bald facts of what should be done as opposed to what was required to be done is something which they were caught between, that gap. It seems to me that not only is it not understandable, but it also raises questions of consistency, and even more than that, it raises questions of integrity. Integrity meaning the kind of wholeness or completeness or authority and solid honesty that one can trust and rely upon. If organisations can be so easily manipulated to move from what they believe to be true to what they believe is necessary and needs to be done because someone else requires it of them, then where does that leave integrity? Integrity is a vital part of every human interaction because without it, you can't have trust. And without trust, then all relationships break down. Whether those relationships are between individuals and human beings, from one to another, or whether they're from the individual to the government and its agents. And if trust breaks down on that level, then you have to ask yourself, what's left for a society that has no trust in those who are making the decisions that govern it? And the answer has to be very little.